Okay, let's move it up. I'm not gonna say his name because I'm gonna fucking chalk it again. Miggy, go ahead. Let us know the update on this guy, on this gentleman.
I don't even know if I'm saying it right, but I think it's Suchir Balaji, right? We talked about
Okay.
him a couple weeks ago. Just to sum it up, he works as an engineer, or he worked as an engineer for OpenAI,
Hmm.
the people that created ChatGPT. He was found dead soon after he left the company, and soon after he started speaking out on what he witnessed within the company itself. Now, when he was found dead, the authorities quickly deemed it a suicide, and the investigation was wrapped up within 40 minutes. Now, his body was given to his mother the next day, and then that's when his mom was able to go into the apartment, see things for herself, right? Now, fortunately, he had a close relationship with his parents who took their own look at the situation and realized something was off. Today, we're going to look at extra details, but there were some details at the beginning that are important to know that I suggest if you haven't watched our episode 2, I believe, I suggest you go back and check that out. But here's a clip of his mother speaking on some new provable findings to Tucker Carlson, if you want to play that clip.
Did the officers at the scene give you any indication of how they thought your son died?
At 4 o'clock, they came to the leasing office, and then medical examiner said he shot himself, he killed himself, it's a suicide. At that moment, I raised to them, look, my son went into New York Times, he's a whistleblower, and his death doesn't look suicide to me. They just didn't want to listen. He bought a gun, it belongs to him. Nobody went into the complex, nobody came out, he was all by himself. And it's a suicide. And how long it took, can you believe it? 40 minutes to investigate. 40 minutes to determine the date, cause of death. And at 4 o'clock, they give me the keys for the apartment and they say you can collect the body tomorrow. Like, right from that moment, I see foul play. Proper formalities were not followed. And the next day, they released the body within 24 hours without doing the complete autopsy. They removed the bullet. They did a CT scan, just returned the body to us. Then we just checked with the funeral home and we discussed with them. And then they also said, looks like, doesn't seem normal. There's something very unusual here. You should do a second private autopsy.
The funeral home suggested that.
Yes.
Well, that's the first clip, right? So
Okay.
not only did the funeral home suggest foul play, but also the private investigator they hired afterwards suggested the same thing. Now, there's a video on X where the private investigator shows a crime scene, goes through room by room, and explains why it can't be a suicide. But it's a long one, so I suggest to go check it out when you guys have time. But among
Okay.
other evidence, here's one other finding that they explain and they were able to prove through the second autopsy. If you want to play that clip as well.
Take a listen.
Your son's body was taken away. It was evaluated in some way by the authorities. They say this is a suicide. You have like a real autopsy done by Professor Rao, and he says, what about the bullet angle? Will you explain that?
The autopsy was done by Dr. Joseph Cohen.
Okay.
And he says two things. One of them is the bullet angle is going downward, about 30 to 45 degrees downward. It's been shot here. It's missed the brain. Second thing is there's a head injury on the left side of the head. In fact, I spoke to medical examiner's office, executive director. I told him there's a head injury, there's sign of struggle in the bathroom. He just declared that I'm the decision-making authority of state of California. I decide the cause of death. And when I brought up we'll have federal investigation,
Damn.
there was a momentary setback in his voice on the phone, but still they're holding on to suicide.
So Dr. Cohen's autopsy, and this is grisly, I'm sorry, but proves that the bullet was fired at what angle?
Yeah, it's downward angle that someone cannot shoot themselves.
Right. So in other words, if this were a suicide, your son would have had to have held the gun to his forehead coming
from
down.
the top. He was made to sit. If you look at this same thing, like the victim was sitting down. He was made to sit, someone standing, he shot him down.
Damn.
Yeah. So now that they can prove now they're able to prove, right, that the initial investigation was wrong and most likely corrupted. But, what my question to you guys is, what do you think is going to happen from this point on, if you guys have any predictions?
Bro, with the
Oh.
way California is going on right now with the whole thing, they're just gonna forget about it.
Most likely, right?
They're just gonna shove it under the rug with everything going on there. Like they're just gonna forget about it. Same thing with like this whole thing with like the Diddy evidence in his house and all these celebrities that got shit burned with their houses there. All that things, whatever was there is gone now. That's what I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, these guys go deep, man. These guys go deep, and if there's something to really hide, it won't come too late.
Yeah, and
How
I just want to
convenient,
say, like, we all agree, like, there's no chance that the CEO of the company has no idea about this, right? Like, for
Yeah,
sure,
no idea.
I'm not
for
sure. I
sure he
can't
has to
say
know.
I can't say that the CEO had anything to do with it. I think it goes deeper than that.
The board.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it goes way deeper than that. It's just it's a messy thing because for the reasons they wanted him gone, it's obviously some very powerful people who have control over the state in a sense. Because why
Yeah.
did she just shut down her argument, right? Without if there's some evidence proven that it might be foul play, why did the state not even consider it? So now we're talking on a state level, federal level. So
Yeah, and the reason I bring up the CEO, not that he ordered it or he actually has something to do with it, but I feel like he definitely has to know what's going on. He's like a similar, and this kind of ties into what we're talking about Elon Musk. Like they have similar beliefs in the sense that they're transhumanists, right? This guy, his name's Sam Altman, first of all. And I just want to say a couple of things. Like he fought hard not to allow the creation of a kill switch for the AI system or the robots that they created. So you got to ask why, right? Why are they fighting so hard not to have a kill switch when it's just uh, precautionary measures?
Mm.
And also, I mean, this is an allegation, but we should know and we should keep up with the story down the line when it gets put into court. But he's in a lawsuit against his sister for sexual abuse, including rape, right?
Oh shit.
So it's like, I mean, I'm not saying that it happened for sure, but you have this going on here. You have Elon Musk, 13 baby mamas. Like, who knows what he likes to do on his own time when he has time. It's like at the end of the day, I'm not saying anything, but it would make sense that these smart guys, right, that are creating these companies are being allowed to pretty much do whatever they want behind closed doors, and then that could easily be turned to blackmail, right? It's like a Diddy situation with the artists, right? You let these guys come in, they feel like they could do whatever the fuck they want. You catch them in some sort of act. Now you can control them, and you know
yeah,
shit goes on from there. It's a trend that we're starting to see, so it's definitely worth talking about whether it's a conspiracy theory or not.
yeah, the whole
Right.
kill switch thing that absolutely blows my mind. Like, what? Why can't you have a kill switch on these things? What if they do surpass our intelligence and now you have to have a kill switch?
Yeah.
That's insane.
It should be mandatory that every single one of these have a kill switch.
Yeah.
You got
All
anything
right.
to say about that?
Oh, yeah, I agree. They should have a kill switch for sure, and put in some proper, like Miguel said, precautionary measures to stop this from stop it from ever getting out of control.
All right, boys. That was topic number 3.